everyone. Hope everyone is doing well. It's been so long since I uploaded any video. I've been busy. I've been very busy with my life and job and all. So today we're going to first start from where we left, and that is the chat application using Firebase. So we have successfully completed one-to-one chat in Android. Today we're going to focusing on iOS configuration of it. We'll test if it's receiving messages after configuring it. Also, before getting to the IS part, I just wanted to let everyone know that I have made some changes in the chat app repo. When I cloned the project from one-to-one chat branch, I realized that it's not working on Android. So I had to fix that before starting this, right? So I upgraded the project to the latest version of React Native, which is currently 0.71.7, and also updated some packages like Firebase, vector icons, and deep dependencies, and also removed native base package because it wasn't compatible with the latest version of React Native. Also, we weren't using it much. We're using it mainly for icons, so that is replaced with React Native elements. Also made some enhancement with the design, which we are using the native base package. Latest code base updated to GitHub. Branch name upgrade 0.71.7. Let me show you just that. So latest code is updated to this branch, and that is include the upgrade of React Native, the upgradation of React Native, also the packages and all. Uh, also, I had to update the React Native reanimated package as well. So you can simply compare this branch with one-to-one chat branch to see what are the changes we did, and you can and get start with that. And also to if you want to update your project, let's say you're using 64.2 or something and you want to update to the latest version, you can simply come to Google and search for React Native Update Helper. So you will get a link, the first GitHub link, React Native Update Helper. Just click on that link, and where you just need to select the current version of React Native application. Let's say it's 63.5, right? And you want to update the latest stable version, which is 0.71.7. And if you click on show me how to upgrade, it will show you all the details that is required, all the changes that you need to do, in which file, which is the file that is deleted, which is the file that is added. Uh, so all of that, you need to do that. So I did all of this. And if you want me to upload a video on that topic, how to update and step by step, you can just let me know and uh, comment your thought below so I can see, and based on that, we can create a video later. Okay, so let's get start with the Firebase chat application using Firebase, and let's configure it using iOS. Okay, so currently it's running on Android. I updated the application. It's running in Android right now, and everything works fine, just as expected. And so it's also opened here, chat application. And if you want to uh, configure the iOS part, right? First, we need to open the project using XCode. If you click on the Xcode, so Xcode is opened, and now here you have an option called open a project or a file. So you just need to click on that and need to go to your project folder, and inside that you just need to click the iOS folder of it and click on open. So currently, let me make it to full screen. So here we have the chat application. So we need to configure that part. So before go into that, let me go through the package.json file and see what are the changes that we need to do. That is very common. One is we need to configure the Firebase package. Also, we need to configure the vector icons, and also we need to configure the fonts as well. And it should be configured automatically. So for the Firebase, while it's indexing, okay, it's already completed. And just let me show you. And if we're trying to run the application, before running the application, let me install the pod first. So if we install the pod, it will install the pod based on the package.json file, but there are still some configuration that is required to make it work, especially for Firebase. And most of the package should work automatically. So just give me a moment while it's installing the pods. So we need to fix the errors, and just an FYI, if you are doing the pods install for the very first time, it may take a while. Sit tight and wait for it to complete. Okay, so it's related to the Firebase and all. So let's configure the Firebase part first. And it will be stupid to run the application just to show you just I'm running the application. If you are trying to run the application, it will obviously fail, but just to show you something. Yeah, so it's failing. So let's configure the Firebase part first. So if you go, so if I open the directly Firebase website, I will ping the, I mean, you can simply, already know the website, but I also ping that into the comment section. Sorry, description section. And if you go to the project, get started, installation, Android setup, and if you go to the iOS setup, so first what we need to do, we need to download this file from Firebase and add this into our application and add few things into the appdelegate.h and also something in the port file. So first let's start with adding our project to Firebase. If we come to the Firebase chat application dashboard, you can see we have the chat app, but that's an Android icon. So we need to add the iOS as well. So just click on add app and click on iOS and it will ask for the bundle ID. So if you go to the Xcode, click on this file icon, click on the folder, and inside this bundle identifier, you can see the bundle ID, which is currently over g.react.js.native.example.chat app. So if you want to change that, where was that? You need to come here and you can simply come here and you can just change the whole, let's say, com.developerscene.chat app. So this will be the bundle identifier we're going to use. And it should show up here. Yeah. So this is here. Also, it will ask for the chat. Just a name, you can simply enter the application name. Click on register, and then you will have the option to download config file. So if you download the config file, it's downloaded, and now we need to add that in our project. So to add that in our project, you can simply click on the folder, click here, and as it shows here, click on add files to the project name, which is chat app, add files to chat app. And once you are here, you don't need to change anything here, just leave it as default and go to your folder. Sorry, it will be on inside the downloads. So click that, click on add. So this is added successfully. Now, what is the next part? If you go here, click on next. Next, it's saying add Firebase SDK or analytics. You don't need that here. But for initialization code, you can copy it from here, or you can simply follow these steps here. I usually don't follow this step. I just simply click on continue and continue. Then I come up here, and as it mentioned here, after adding the project, scroll down a bit, it says configure Firebase with IS credential. And here you can see to do this, open your appdelegate.mm file or appdelegate.m in on older React Native version and add this following. And why would you need to add that? We need to import this after Firebase SDK right after import appdelegate.h. So if you come to the VS Code and open appdelegate.mm, which is under the IS folder, then you have the chat app folder that is based on your project name, and you can see appdelegate.mm. And here you need to import that. And then it says import Fire app configure inside did finish launching with option. So if you come here, we have only did finish launching option 1, and you can simply import here. Then if you scroll down, it says beginning with Firebase SDK version 9 plus, Reactivity version 15 plus, you must tell Cocaport to use framework. Open the file for file and add this line inside your target right after the line calling the React Native port file function to get the native modules config. So if we come here, port file, you can see linking linkage static. So it says add this line inside your target right after the line calling the React Native port file function to get the native module config. So here is our target. You need to simply paste it here. And then everything should work as expected. So just let me install the pod again, save it all. You can simply install pod, or maybe you can try to pod update, but I want to go with pod install because first time it wasn't successful, and this may take a while. Yeah, so as you can see, the pod is installed successfully. Now we can try to run application. So if you want to clean your build folder, so click on the product and then click on clean build folder, and then selected iPhone 14. If you click on play button, it will run trying to build the application, and it should be up and running on iOS 14. Let's wait for it. It may also take a while. Right now we are getting some error, which is rct appdelegate.h not found. Okay. So while upgrading the project, this was required, and this was based on the changes that I did that a helper asked me to do, but it says not found. Just a moment. Okay, so first thing what I need to do is that while upgrading our application, we are manually changing the version here, right? Directly just changing the version from 65 to 71.7. So that's a way to update the version. But for in this case, what you need to do, you need to manually install this React Native to the latest version, or you can simply specify the version this one. So it will, I mean, eventually, while you do npm install, it should install all the packages that it need, but somehow it wasn't doing the thing, so I had to do that manually. And that after doing so, this RTC app delegate.h file not found issue is resolved, but there were a couple of more issues that I was facing to begin with. Uh, the simple toast version was updated to the latest version, which is 2.0.0. So I need to downgrade the version because somehow it was not compatible with the React Native latest version. So instead of fixing the issue. I mean, just a toast, right? So just downgrade the version, and also update a couple of version, which is safe area context, screen, and all, and that issue is resolved. And after running the application, there were one or two issues that I was facing. That one is with the vector icons. Somehow, vector icon wasn't working, and also one with the fonts. So, from what we know, how to link a font in Android and iOS, right? You can simply create a folder that's assets, and inside that you need to create another folder that is fonts, and inside that folder you can put all the fonts that you need. And you need to create another file that is React Native config.js, and here you need to assign the assets, and you need to assign this object inside the project. So, and after that, you just need to run npx React Native link, and that should do the job. But link somehow is not working once you try to do any link in the React Native latest version. So I had to link the fonts manually. So for that, what I did, first thing first, I move all the fonts outside this in the root folder. Sorry, in the root directory of the project, inside the assets folder and inside the fonts, and then added this file, and then move back to info.split. Here we need to add this whole section for fonts. So this section is for the custom font that they're using, and this is for the vector icons in order to uh, make it work in iOS. Yes, that's all I had to do to make it work. And then if I'm trying to run the application, it should run the application. I mean, I just tested it. It was running. So let me rerun the application, and it was working on Android. It was working on Android, so it should also work on iOS now. So it's working in iOS as well. Now, so we linked the Firebase, we linked all the things that is required. Now, what are the changes we need to do all on the front end and in the design side? For example, if you click on here in the Android emulator, you can see it keyboard pops up and you can simply enter the email ID. Same goes for the password, right? So once you click on the password section, uh, it just stick to the keyboard. It's not getting behind the keyboard. And if you're trying to do the same in iOS, if you click on enter email ID, you see this section is just scroll behind the card. Somehow it's not uh, visible to the user. So because to make it work for the input section, we always need to add something called keyword our scroll view, which is this one. And you need to install React Native keyboard our scroll view package. So here we just need to make few changes to make it correct. So currently, if you see the keyboard device call view inside the card. So this is our card, and it's inside our card. So that's why it's scrolling up to stick to the keyboard, and there is not enough space to do the scroll. So instead of keeping this inside the card, we're going to wrap the whole card using this keyword device scroll view. Just move from here and here. Yeah, that's it. And if you try to click now, you can see it's not scrolling anywhere. It's stick to the place, but somehow this card it's not in the center. So to make it center, you can simply use the container style props and use flex one and justify content center. And it's supposed to be the center. Yeah, if you click on the password now, it should, yeah, scroll up and stick to the keyboard. Now we can simply enter email ID and password. And if you go to the registration screen, then it should Yeah, so for here as well, we need to fix the similar issue that we had over there. So if you go to the register screen, so instead of using this here, we're just going to wrap the card and we're going to use and if you click on anything here, let's say email, if you click on about, it should scroll up and stick to the keyboard. Yeah, so it's for login screen and for registration screen, everything working fine. So just we can now log in and then see how it's looking inside the app after logged in. So if you're trying to log in, so account was Steve at the rate. You can see one thing that if you're trying to click here, it says invalid email ID. So the reason why just first let me make the color of this thing to black. It's not looking good. So I changed the registration screen. Need to do the same. And yes, so you can see if you're trying to click here, it says invalid email ID because the email ID we have in the TV it start with a small d, not the big one. So and there's a default behavior in iOS that once you're trying to click enter something, it always starts with capital letter. So we can simply use something called to lowercase. Sorry, to lowercase. So if we click on, or otherwise you can simply remove the condition with the instead of checking the while checking the email ID, you can simply use the lowercase there as well. Okay, now see if you log in, it's kind of not okay. It's getting inside the status bar and all. So how we can fix that? So also if you go into the chat screen, you can see it's getting inside the status bar and also it's not visible here completely. And if the keyboard is open and we cannot see the input, and this is a very, I mean, this is kind of a issue that everyone face. I mean, login issue. I mean, most of the people can resolve, but in the chat screen where we have already have a flag list to render your messages, and you cannot use the keyboard or scroll view here to, I mean, both, I mean, flat list and keyboard or scroll view, it just both are things for the scroll, right? And you can just you cannot use two different things with the same I mean, the horizontal, vertical scroll in a single screen. It's not. I mean, you cannot. So this is the tricky part where how you can resolve that. No worries, I'm going to show you how we can simply resolve this issue and make it work. Okay, so if I try to click here, it's not clickable because it's getting inside the status bar. That's it, not clickable. So let me refresh the screen, refresh the application, and let's start with this home screen first. So if you go inside the home screen, so instead of using a view here, we're going to use SafeAreaView. See, it's it's okay now. So yeah, now if you're going to the all user screen, it's the same behavior here as well. And here also we can simply use safe wrap this with safe area view. Yeah. It, here there is one more issue is that we don't have any back button here because we don't nice as well we don't have any physical back button to navigate back to the previous screen. So we also need to add a back button here. So first let me configure the chat screen, then we will come back here later. If we go here, okay, so inside the chat screen as well, instead of using a view, I'm going to wrap with safe area view. Yeah, and then I'm just going to put a background color. Yeah, now you can see you can click in the header as well, and also, but here in the chat, here inside uh, uh, input, it's not. I mean, it's not how we should, how we want our input to behave that way because in iOS, if you don't define any height of the input, it's the default height of the input. It's based on the content you have inside the input. So if you go here and if we check, we don't have any height inside the input. So if we just make add any height, let's say 55, it should look quite cool. And if you click here, but the keyboard is not showing up. So what do you need to do for the key to this thing to if you click on the keyboard, the keyboard is open, input should come up here at the top of the keyboard. Okay, so to fix that, we're going to use something called keyboard avoiding view. I'm going to wrap the flat list and the input with that. Then I'm going to put a style of Flex1. And then you can see I mean, it's still not clickable, but why so? And you also can simply, so the reason why it's not, I mean, you cannot see this input is there's one more changes you need to do, and that's inside the app.js where we have the navigation part. So for that, you just need to wrap this whole navigation with a safe area provider from React Native Safe Area context. And if you do so, okay, I forget to add one more thing here. It's the behavior of the keyboard. So the behavior, if the platform is iOS, platform is iOS, so it should behave as padding. Otherwise, no. See, see the magic here? Now if you click on the input here, it should come up like this. See, everything, I mean, everything is okay in the chat screen right now. So if you just want to type any message, let's say hello and send, it should come up and it should automatically scroll up as we do the messaging. Okay, so this one is working, and if you check on the Android now, I mean, with the changes in iOS, we need to check once if all the things in Android is working or not. So if we log into an account in Android, and if we check, Everything here looks fine to me. Yeah. So if we do a message, let's see if so we're sending a message from Android device to iOS device, and we just need to verify if they're receiving the message or not. See, we're getting the message in real time. Okay, so why the keyword got dismissed is because I'm using the my MacBook keyboard instead of the keyboard there we have in the iPhone. So if we type here, the keyboard will not get dismissed. And so this input height looks a bit bigger to me, so let me reduce the height to 48. Yeah, it's better now. But one thing is here that is regard this placeholder here, it's appearing at the top here. So it's because of the multi-line. If we disable the multi-line, it should come up to the center. But we do need the multi-line for the chat, right? So we can keep the multi-line enabled, and let's say number of lines will be 5, and still it's not coming up to the center. So what I managed to do here, I mean, there might be a better way, or there might be a different approach to resolve this. What I managed to do here is that for to make it center manually by using padding. But when you notice something that once you add the padding, it's coming up to the center, but this one is going to the bottom. So you can just simply add a condition based on the platform we have. If it's iOS, then the padding top should be 15, otherwise it should be 0. So if we type something, let's say, hello, how are you? No, we start with hello, how are you? I'm good. And then can conclude the conversation. And we are getting these multiple messages. It's because of we are at the chat screen and we are changing things and doing the save. That's why it's render multiple time. And if we are simply going back to the screen, then it should appear only once. And the next message you will send as well, it should appear only once. Let me reopen the application. It's only appearing once. And let's do the same check in iOS as well. It's working. You can add some padding and all to make it look more nice, but my point was just to show you it's working. Yeah. So as you can see here, it's working. We are receiving the messages and all. So now let's fix this part. We need to have a back button here to, and because in Android you can simply click on the black button in the back button, and then you can simply navigate back to the previous screen. But in iOS, we don't have any back button, physical back button in the iPhone. So we need to add a back button here. And if we go to the all user page, we're using something called search bar here. So okay, so it's from the search bar, it's from React Native element, right? So if we go back to React Native element, if we have anything called a back button for iOS, we need to check in the docs whether we have any back button. I need to navigate back to the 342 version, which one the one we're using, 342, yeah, right. So if you go to the search bar here, you can see there is no example with the back button, but you can see there is one with this one. Okay, in Android we have the back button, but we don't have anything in the iOS. So what should we do? I believe then we need to add this back button manually. Yeah, we can simply add the back button manually. If we go here and see we have the search word, so let's wrap this using a view and put some style. We text direction of row, and then line item would be center, and we need to add an icon. For icon, we will be using element, and we should provide a name, and we should provide a type. For type, we can simply use icon, and for the name, we might need to find the name. So let's find the name. If you go to the icon website and search for arrow, and we can use this one. This one looks nice. The name should be this. So we have the icon. We might need to add a margin to make it look good. Let's say margin horizontal of 10, and you can also need to make the size of the icon a bit. Let's say it's 25. 25 doesn't look good. 30 looks nice. And this one is the input. This one is the container. So if we go to this one, we might need to specify a width. Let's consider 90% of the screen. Let's do 95. 95 is okay. 90% is okay. And yeah, that look nice to me. And this is to reduce the space here, I believe we added padding horizontal, right? So if we remove this one, it should reduce the space. So no need of padding horizontal, and just have a look in the Android side. Android side is also okay, but there is a box radius that we're getting. Let's remove the elevation from here, and then it should remove that box as well. Yeah, so it looks fine. Just need to add something, which is to make this button clickable. You can also simply push use on praise here, or you can grab this with a different touchable opacity or pressable, anything you like. So we have the navigation. I believe we should because this screen is navigating from here to different screen. Yeah, so we can simply use the navigation dot back. And let's try on Android first. Click on here, navigating back to the previous screen. Click on here, navigating back to the previous screen. So click here, come up here. If you don't wish to search anything or don't want to navigate to a different screen and want to navigate back to the previous screen, you can simply click on the black back button and come up here. And also there is one more thing, you can simply swipe and we can use a gesture to navigate back to the previous screen, but it's always better to have the back button. Yeah, so we successfully managed to configure the iOS part, and also you can check we are getting the one-to-one message from Android to iOS and all. So we will continue further with the next. Stay tuned for the next video. Thank you. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.